Hey everyone, welcome to the final part of my in-depth review of the new Imperial Knights Codex. So far we've gone over the warlord traits, the relics, all of the new models. There's now 5 Imperial Knights. 3 middle point shooty guys that can do in close combat, 1 really close combat oriented one that's cheaper, and 1 shooty guy that's more expensive. And today in this video I will be going over my final thoughts and the formations, of course, of the Codex. There's a bunch of formations in this Codex. They're very expensive formations. Take that in consideration. Because, yeah, I'll point that out. So let's start off with the formations. The first formation is called the Exalted Court, and the formation consists of 5, any 5 Imperial Knights of any type. Now, that sounds cool, but that alone is the most expensive formation I can think about right now, because that's an expensive formation. 5 Imperial Knights. If you choose 5 of the cheapest Imperial Knight, that's 1,625 points. Of the normal, like, to get 1850, you can choose 5 paladins. 5 errants. 5 errants would equal 1,850 points. But then, at 1,850 points, if you're using 5 errants, you can't take advantage of the benefits that you get with this thing. So, it's an expensive formation, so it's great for Apocalypse. It will not be used very frequently in battle reports or in, normal-sized games. So you get Council of Lords, which of course they can, all models in this formation. This is kind of a cool part. So rather than one model being named a character, all models in formation have the vehicle, super heavy walker, character, unit type, and can choose selects from the heirlooms of the Knightly Houses list, the points cost shown. Furthermore, before deployment, nominate one model in this formation to be the High King or Princeps of the Knightly House. Add 2 to this model's weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristic, and add 1 to any invulnerable save throw this model makes for its ion shield. Add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristic of all models in this formation. That's insane. So, it's going to be pretty powerful, but there's only one combination that you can use for an 1850 game, or a couple, but you'd have to involve the cheaper guy. You have to bring at least 1 of the Gallants, I guess. Because it's going to be very hard to get 5 Knights in an 1,850 point game. You need either Gallants, and then you can bring other guys. Like 1 Gallant alone frees up 45 points that you could, buy more expensive Knights with. So, it's cool. Like, it's going to be a cool... it's a really, really strong benefit for bringing this formation. Everyone is weapon skill, ballistic skill 5. And 1 guy is ballistic skill and weapon skill 6. Huge. That's really nasty. But we'll see. And then, of course, they can buy the heirlooms that I mentioned in my first video. So that's good stuff. And Knight Commander, of course, you can reroll the warlord trait when rolling for your warlord trait. That's really strong. Again, it's just going to be hard to get. You could bring... there's a bunch of combinations that will lead to 1,850 or 1,500. Like, 1,500 is impossible. The minimum points cost would have to be like an 1850 game, maybe a 1750. You could bring it for 1750, but it'd be pretty hard. So let's keep going. Up next, we have the Baronial Court. The Baronial Court. And this one's more practical. The formation is 3 to 5 Imperial Knights of any type. So 3 to 5. Once you start off with 3, like I can put 3 in a list easily. The special rules, Ionic Shield Wall. As long as an Imperial Knight from this formation is within 6 inches of 1 or more other Imperial Knights from this formation, it adds 1 to any invulnerable save it makes with its Ion Shield from the front arc. Cool. I'm going to try this one. This is a formation I'll be trying out probably in a battle report coming up. Knight Commander. In this formation is your primary detachment. You can reroll the result when you're rolling for the Warlord trait, Codex Imperial Knights. Furthermore, when fighting in a challenge, your Warlord rerolls failed hit rolls. Good. There's the Knightly Vassals, all formations Baron, see below. And all Imperial Knights in this formation within 12 inches of them have counterattack special rules and can fire Overwatch, even though they are super heavy walkers. Okay. So counterattack, of course, meaning that they basically get an extra attack. That also bummed their initiative then. The first round, I think. One model's CAC. Or just 1+1 attack. Yeah, and then there's Lord Baron. Before deployment, nominate one model From this formation to be the formation's Baron, because it's the Baronial Court. This model, let's see, is the same rule? Yeah. To be the formation's Baron. This model has the vehicle, Super Heavy Walker character unit type, and can choose to select from the heirlooms of the Knightly Houses list with the points cost shown. Furthermore, add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristic of this model. You have access to the heirlooms, and that's it. Alright. Cool. So he's a leader, he gets a buff, and that's pretty fun though. You get +1 to the weapon, as long as you're from the, even close proximity to each other. +1 to their invulnerable save in the front arc. Pretty good. Pretty good indeed. And they all get counterattack is pretty decent as well. That's a pretty strong. That's pretty strong. I think if I were Overwatch, I like to bring my Castigator. The problem is most of the knights, the Overwatch, it'll be okay. Like they have heavy stubbers and they have a melt-a-gun. But remember, you got to take into consideration that most of the guns these Imperial Knights are using are blasts. They won't be able to fire them anyway. However, the heavy 12 strength 6 AP3 one with rending will be pretty nasty in Overwatch. Cool. So that's the Baronial Court. I'll be trying out that formation probably in a battle report coming up because you got to try them out. Makes sense. Next, we have the tripartite lance formation. Now, this one's interesting. It is basically one of every of the new guys. 1 Warden, 1 Gallant, 1 Crusader. The restrictions, all models in formation must be fielded as a single unit, even though this is not normally allowed. When each knight is destroyed, they count as a separate unit for victory point purposes. Special rules, War Triad. Each knight's formation has an effect on the other models in its formation as described below. These effects last until the associated model is completely destroyed. Knight Warden, Withering Fire. Enemy units count their cover save as being 1 point lower than normal against shooting attacks from models from this formation. That's awesome. Knight Gallant, Wrathful Onslaught. All models in formation inflict D3 Hammer Wrath hits instead of 1. Yeah, cool. Strength 10, it's pretty good. And Knight Crusader, Precision Bombardment. Blast weapons fired by weapons in this formation gain the Twin Link special rule. That's awesome. So that alone, if you want to take one of each knight, do it. That's pretty fun. Each of them gives a bonus to the rest of the guys in the squad, so that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. Wow. That's really strong. Twin Link blasts, that one of them has obviously, the giant melt-a-gun, and the other ones have, they're pretty large, good blasts, Good. That's gonna be a really powerful formation as well. And next we get to the Gallant Lance formation. Basically 3 gallants or gallants. Very British propos, Special rules: if you bring 3 gallants in a formation, they get Crusader, which they get an extra dice when roll in their. I think they just get an extra dice. And uses the highest, In addition, they get an additional D3 to sweeping advance moves. They also get Rage, so when they charge in combat, gains 2 attacks instead of 1. And Full Tilt. They can reroll failed charge distances. That's huge. So that's good. Those are the gallants. Of course, it makes sense because they're the close combat oriented ones. If you're running 3 of them, you really want to get them in close combat because if they fail to get in, they're in trouble. They need to get in close combat, eat everything to shreds in close combat. So that's the cool stuff. That's the cheapest formation in this book. And that one alone comes in at 975 points base. So again, these formations are very expensive. There's the Sky Reaper Lance formation, which is 3 Imperial Knights of any type. Oh, okay, so I can do this one as well with my 3 Imperial Knights from Forge World. 3 Imperial Knights of any type. Restrictions: all units must take the Twin Icarus autocannon carapace weapon option. Never mind. I'm not going to be trying this one anytime soon. And the Twin Icarus autocannon, once again, is the 48-inch range, Strength 7, AP 4, Heavy 2, Interceptor, Skyfire, twin-linked autocannons, right? And special rules, Sky Reaper. When targeting enemy flyers, Knights from this formation reroll failed armor penetration rolls and can choose to reroll glancing hits in an attempt to instead get penetrating hit, but the second result must be kept. Furthermore, when targeting any flying monster creatures, Knights from this formation reroll failed to wound rolls. Nice! That's pretty sweet. It'd be awesome if they can go through cover as well, but they won't be able to. That's really awesome. And that's it. Those are the formations. So, what do I think of the formations? Really good. Really expensive, but very good. Very good. You know, as I said, like, it'll be very hard to get in the first one under 1,850 points. And then the rest of them are all, you know, thousands of point, like 1,000-point formations. So, that's what it is with Imperial Knights. Baronial Court is awesome. I'm going to try that one out soon. And then there's the Tripartite Lance, which is really cool because they each give, you know, benefit to everyone else. Twin-linked blast weapons is awesome. The Gallant Lance, good to get them in close combat where you want them to be. And the Sky Reaper Lance, good for popping enemy flyers. And that's it. That's the Codex in a nutshell. It's not a very big Codex, obviously, because there's only 5 choices, but that's 2.5 times the previous Codex's number of options. Think about it. Now they can take multi-guns instead of the heavy stubbers. Huge good. The carapace weapons are awesome. 3 more choices. You know, a middle ground, good shooting one, close combat one, crazy shooting one. Awesome. And formations, which will make them awesome. So I really think this Codex is solid. It is a huge improvement over the previous one. This is the Codex that they deserved 2 years ago, in my opinion. They should have gotten 5 options 2 years ago. The 2 options were a little silly. You know, only 2 options with very limited upgrades. Wasn't much to do with the Codex. This has brought in a lot of flavor into the Codex, a lot of options, and it's going to be fun to see these formations on the table and see how they do. Out of the 5, I really still like... my favorite, personally, depending on how you want to fill it, are the original 2. But the crazy shooty guy is really cool. He's a bit expensive, but for 425 points, the Knight Crusader is going to be a nutcase. Just keep him in the back of the field and just destroy everything that comes near him. I really like the close combat Gallant is interesting. I think he's going to have his purposes. He's going to be a good distraction. You send him at your opponent, let them try to deal with him, and then meanwhile stay at a little bit more of a distance and just pop things. Especially if him in combination with the Crusader will be great because you send up him and your opponent has to deal with him quickly because he's going to eat everything to shreds. And like he can destroy a Land Raider and throw a Land Raider on top of another squad, and that'd be kind of cool. And then the Crusader stands back and just pops things with his, you know, the Thermal Cannon and Avenger Gatling Cannon. I love the Avenger Gatling Cannon. That should be said. I love the options of the Carapace weapons. They're going to make it really expensive, but they're just extra flavor on top of these shootings. And the Paladin and the Errant are still just as awesome as they were before. You know, if you liked an Errant, you're going to take an Errant. The big debate would be between like an Errant and a Paladin and the Warden. The Warden is good in certain circumstances. I'd still prefer, you know, a giant Melt-A-Blast over the Strength 6 AP3 Rending, but that has its choices too. If you know you're up against a huge infantry list full of Space Marines, bring it and just annihilate them. You know, especially if you get that Overwatch power by bringing a formation, it'll be awesome. Killing Space Marines left, right, and center. But of course, so can a large blast. Making one twin-linked large blast landing on top of a squad, just by squad. Killing Paladins like no one's business. In the end, it's a great Codex. Imperial Knights needed some flavor, and they got it. They got some options. They're not going to be as bland as they once were, and they're a fun army. I really like using the Imperial Knights from Forge World, but I'm going to get some Imperial Knights from Games Workshop because I want to try these guys out. The question is, which one am I going to try out? Haven't decided yet. The Crusader. I really like the idea of the Crusader because he's hilarious, but I don't know. I'm going to have to get one and try it out. So thank you very much for watching this Codex review. I really hope you enjoyed it. Leave comments in the comment section down below of what you think. I think it's a solid Codex. If you liked Imperial Knights, just gives you more options and great choices. Formations are hilarious. And what do you think? Yeah, that's my opinion. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for the next Codex review. As always, probably in 2 weeks when another Codex comes out. Seems like they're doing like 2 a month now. Wow. So till next time, this is Jay saying...